Hello, my name is Jacob Aver. I'm doing my Biomechanics Journal Club entry number 7. So the name of my article is Kinematics and Muscle Activity when Running in Partial Minimalist and Traditional and Maximal Shoes. And the authors were James Becker and Brianna Borgia. So the research question was, do runners show differences in joint kinematics and muscle activation when running in partial minimalist shoes, traditional shoes, and the maximalist shoes? So the main findings were most movement patterns were very similar across all shoes, which is actually kind of surprising to me. Maximalist shoes had less dorsiflexion at foot strike and less peak dorsiflexion, and minimalist shoes had more peak eversion. So there really wasn't any meaningful difference, you could say. So when it comes to muscle activity, the gluteus medius, there was higher activation in the maximalist shoes. The peroneus longus, higher activation in minimalist shoes, and the maximalist shoes when you compare it to like your traditional running shoe. And for your tibialis, there's higher activation in the minimalist shoes. So biomechanic concepts that were used or measured, there was a whole lot. Joint kinematics, obviously, foot strike angle, dorsiflexion, eversion, muscle EMG, electromyography, ground reaction forces. So one thing I found very interesting was that even though a lot of the maximalist shoes have just like a thick pad of cushioning, it really wasn't a significant difference compared to your more minimalist shoe designs, which I kind of thought was pretty interesting. So one question I kind of had, lingering question I had was, since there's different muscle activation for all three types of shoes, how does that really determine injury? So if your gluteus medius is more activated in one type of shoe than the other, does that necessarily mean that you will be more likely to injure your gluteus medius wearing that type of shoe as opposed to the other? And if someone is already dealing with that type of injury, would it be recommended by like a doctor or a trainer to switch shoes? That's something I never really thought about as a personal trainer, switching out the shoes because of an injury to certain areas. Of course, like if we're talking about squat depth or anything like that, then we'll work on changing shoes because of ankle mobility. I've never thought about it as, say, like glute activation or anything like that. So I thought that was very interesting. But this is my Journal Club number 7 entry. Have a good rest of your day.